happened? Hello, good afternoon, everyone. And if you're joining us from a different time zone, good morning or good evening, wherever you may be. And if it's your first time to this platform or seeing me, my name is Marilyn. I'm the CEO and founder of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited, or CTS, and we brand ourselves as Asia's most trusted customized solutions partner, registered as an event services company in Singapore, organizing training, summits, or conferences to help leaders from different companies to generate profit, cost savings, and impact towards their business. And as we know, many teams today are operating in silos, leading to duplicated efforts, confusion, stalled innovation. And today we are here to explore how we can move from working in silos to building synergy, and how does high performing teams collaborate, right? And it's my great pleasure to introduce our speakers and panelists for today, starting with Elijah. You probably seen her if you were here in our last session. She's on a mission to guide individuals and organizations towards defining and creating their desired impact. She was part of the Microsoft Global Learning Development team, where she experienced how organization can contribute to creating environments that promote empathy and learning. She is a graduate of UP Diliman with a degree of psychology and MA in human resources and labor relations at Michigan State University. Hi, Elijah.
Hi, good afternoon,
Hello,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you for joining us again today. And I'd also like to introduce Kristina Isagunde. She is a seasoned operations and technology leader with a solid foundation in advertising, brand management, and digital marketing. She holds a bachelor's degree in marketing management from the University of Santo Tomas. Tomashan, same school, and an MBA from Ateneo Graduate School of Business. Christina brings a rare cross industry perspective to scaling systems, streaming operations, and driving sustainable growth. Would you like to add anything, Christina?
Yes, thank you so much, Mary Lynn. So, hi everyone, good afternoon, and looking forward to this discussion.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. And last but not the least, my friend Gilad Sigeb. He's an expert in income generating collaborations, entrepreneur, award winning author, and keynote speaker with over 25 years of experience. He consults small and medium businesses on global expansion and mentor entrepreneurs, fostering partnership from multinational to micro businesses. So, if you have been in this platform, I'm sure, I hope you have managed to watch the interview I had with Gilad before. Otherwise, this is a good opportunity for you to learn from him. Would you like to add anything, Gilad?
No, good morning from Israel. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And let's jump into the questions. And I would like to start by asking Elijah on what are the most common signs that a team in is working in silos, and what early actions can leader take to bridge those gaps?
Yeah, I think when we say silos, most people immediately jump into the structural implications of that, and they start saying we have to reorganize and do all of that in teams. But I do think, of course, that's very useful, very impactful. But it's the behaviors that lead teams into being siloed. And sometimes we forget that it's the everyday behaviors that we have to observe, right? So for me,
Mhm,
three behaviors that I try to look at. Number one,
mhm,
when team members don't know how to explain the team's goals in their own words, that
mhm,
usually tells me that there's silos happening because maybe people are too focused on just their own task. They're not looking up and trying to understand what other people in the team may be doing. So, in that
mhm,
case, I think leaders have to be the ones explaining the team's goals in their own words, repeating that, having conversations around that. Second
mhm,
behavior, I think when people feel like they cannot express or talk about their mistakes, that tells me that psychological safety may not be strongly felt just yet in the team.
mhm,
And that leads to lost opportunities for learning, experimentation, and finding those solutions together. So for me, I think leaders have to show vulnerability first. Like one of the
mhm,
easiest things they do. Of course, it's easier said than done, but I think leaders should be the first ones to say, like, hey, I need help with this, or I made a mistake in this task. Could you help me brainstorm solutions? They have to model that behavior so that others know it's possible to do it in the team. And then the third behavior is when members don't recognize or appreciate the contributions of other people in the team. Usually, it's when they take credit for a task or a project and they don't really say their appreciation for other people in the team who have helped them accomplish their task. That tells me that people don't see the value of being part of a team, and maybe they
mhm.
need to show that appreciation more for the collaborative aspect of being in a team. I think in these scenarios, leaders have to be explicit. They have to really say, like, this is the task, this is how I expect you to collaborate, and this is why you need to collaborate, to show the reason behind that. So if we look at those three things, it's having a shared purpose, not having psych safety in the team, and also not recognizing or appreciating your team members. Like these are behaviors that usually tell me if silos are happening in the team or not.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And, a lot of times leaders would like look into the systems, the process. And it's interesting that you highlighted we all start with the behavior, right? And I am like
Mhm.
sharing the summary from you earlier, which is again, it's really about like explaining the goals on their own words, lack of psychological safety, and of course, not being able to appreciate or recognize team members as well. So, thank you for sharing that with us. And so, I would like to know from Christina then, like, do you have like, or if you can share like some real world examples where cross functional collaboration have improved performance or innovation? We started with like common signs or like challenges that organizations face, right? But in real world, how do you actually improve or address the challenges that that Elijah shared just now?
Yes, and I really love what Elijah has shared because like it's really in the mindset of the leader and how the leader will really encourage the team to have the same mindset, to have the same behavior, right? So one of the real world examples that I would probably share is like the most effective strategy that we did in the company. So we started learning each other's perspective because I'm in the business of software as a service or a SaaS company. So we're selling products or softwares to businesses. and we have the engineering team and the operations team or the sales team.
Mhm.
So we started learning each other's role, like understanding the perspective. Okay, why is it taking so long for the engineering team to do this? Or why is the sales team pressing us to deliver this particular features or deliver this particular enhancements on this deadline? So when
Mhm.
we did the understanding of each other's perspective, we started immersing ourselves to each other's roles. That's when we started seeing the improved performance. Like, okay, we really have to beat this deadline because we will be able to sell more, or we will be able to build better relationship with this client if we do this, if we deliver this on time. And vice versa, on the project management side, on the sales side, we understand that okay, it's this much. I mean, it would take the engineering this weeks or months or days for them to be able to build this, and we don't want to overwork them. So we will set the expectations of the customers, of the client, that it's going to take this much before we will be able to deliver this. So under when we started understanding each other's roles, that's when everything became seamless. Every process became smoother and effective, and there was really an improved performance because when we started setting expectations of the client, they started understanding it as well, and so the relationship was built better,
Mhm.
and hence, like, we're getting more sales, and at the same time the productivity of people is it's improved, and the happiness score of everyone in the team
Mhm.
is like they're satisfied with their role, with the kind of environment that they're working for. So all those things we were able to improve when we started immersing to each other's roles. So that's probably one example I would provide in terms of cross-functional collaboration across the team.
And that's beautiful. It's really like tapping on to what Elijah earlier said, right? About focusing on the mindset, on the behavior first and foremost. And that's also like that reminds me of how the program of the Interconnected Summit actually flows, right? It really starts in understanding each other's role, perspective, or even to add probably the personality of the people. That's where we start, that's our foundation, and then we move towards, so how can we actually work effectively, communicate effectively to each other. And again, like what you've said, when you did this in your own organization, you managed to communicate better, have better relationship, not only within the internal stakeholders but also with your clients, which in return had smoother process, improved performance, and you know it goes to the list goes on, right? Until the
Correct.
profitability and all those stuff, right?
Correct.
Thank you, thank you for
Yes.
sharing that real world example. And again, like at the end of the day, it's like we're all in pursuit of the same goal, right?
Correct.
Supposedly,
Yes.
when you're working in the
100%.
same company, right? And speaking of that shared goals, I would like to then address my question to Gilad. So, how do we create that shared goal and accountability across departments or organizations? In your case, because you're the collaboration man, and you also like work with different companies that are not, not necessarily you're employed in, or you are within. So so how does it work in creating, shared goals, accountability across departments or organization that you work with that usually operates independently?
Yeah, I think I'll start with something that Elijah said, that eventually the role of creating the goals is for the management, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
not a democracy, it's an economic organization, and the management has to set the goals. However, we like to get all the employees involved in the
Mm-hmm.
process. We want everyone to feel attached to the goals. And that's where um, we look at the organization as a growth platforms for the people inside the organization. So they're not coming to work, they're coming to grow, let's say. okay?
Mhm.
And they're part of something that is allowing them to participate also in setting the goals, but in the day-to-day, they feel they are part of the day-to-day even management or
Mhm.
leadership of the organization. And we started to call that, when we work with organization, we call it Thrive Zen leadership, where we take
Mhm.
the Zen beliefs or way of thinking of like Chinese medicine, of
Mhm.
not healing the organization, but making it become healthy all along, right? And
Mhm.
and being proactive. So we look at the lower level management, and we set them in interconnection
Mhm.
communications on periodical basis, where like very similar to what Christina said, we'll take different team leaders
Mhm.
and get them in a room to speak to each other and learn what the difficulties of other departments, right? Accountancy and development, innovation and sales, and get them together.
Mhm.
And you gain by that several benefits for the whole organization. First of all, these people become contributors to the other department. Sometimes they will have solutions for other department, but even if they don't have solution, it's a platform for joint brainstorming around problems and bringing new ideas. Sometimes, an accountant will bring a sales department a solution from a very organized way of thinking because he's an accountant, right?
Yeah.
So that gets the different leaders, the different team management, lower team management position to collaborate within the organization. They get to speak, to know each other, and with
Mhm.
that, they are more attached to the goals, the organizational goals, because they feel they are contributing to the goal setting. And once that happens, and that is part of the day to day, it's not a once in a year, right? It's a day to day process. The organization is like a living organization, right? And with that, they feel that they contributed to setting the goals,
Mhm.
and with that, they become accountable to the goals from their own wishes. It's not that the management is asking them, please be accountable to the goals we set. They
Right.
want to be accountable to the goals because they feel that way other departments will help them. They will help other departments as well. And it's a joint, like a Zen atmosphere
Mhm.
that grows the organization from the employees upwards as well.
Thank
And
you. Thank you for that.
we do collaborate, as like you said, I'm coming from the business side. I have a partner who is an organizational specialist, and it's also two approaches that are collaborated within the service to clients, to companies.
Exactly. I love what you've shared, that, it's really about giving them opportunity to be able to contribute to that goal, right? Because when they know, similar to what Elijah earlier said, it's being recognized. What you do is being recognized or appreciated, right? So that really helps in terms of the accountability, as you've mentioned, throughout. And again, it's really about, like, understanding each and everyone's perspective, like what Christina also mentioned earlier. So it's really that will help the organization, or even like collaborations of different organizations to work together. And before I ask my next question, I would like um, to give a shout out to Damini Shomal. She said, "Well said." So far, we've been hearing a lot of great insights from our uh, panelists. So thank you so much for that, for appreciating and recognizing that. And also, I would like to, before I ask the next question, I would like to invite, especially those who are watching us live, to join us. If you have any like takeaway, or like like aha moments during this conversation, please feel free to share with us. Or if you would like to ask any question, please feel free to type in as well in the comments if you have any additional questions to make this a really meaty conversation, right? So, thank you so much for that again, Gilad. And so we've been talking a lot around mindset, um, behaviors. So, what about in terms of systems or tools? What have helped your team build synergy without really overwhelming the people? And I would like to address this question to Elijah and Christina. Who would like to go first?
Yeah, I can take it first. Yeah, I can take it first, Christina. So, uh, maybe before I dive into answering the question, one of the
Mhm,
common like pitfalls or mistakes that I see with my clients is they think that one technology would be the solution to everything. So, for example, I recently had a client who had problems with the silos happening between different departments who were not talking to each other. They will have a new system that they will be implementing. And every
mhm,
time I ask them, so like, what behavior do we want to build to encourage collaboration? Their answer would be connected to that new system. So,
mhm,
yes, I think like technology, these kinds of platforms, they do help. But if we do not build the behavior to make those systems work, then you just wasted money and time on these technologies that are usually complex, and it takes a lot of budget to be able to buy them and to implement them. So I think for me, starting first with something simpler, like looking at what are the structures and the rhythms that we have to build so that the behaviors, we can lay the foundation for the right behaviors. So when I say structures, these are the things that you build into the flow of work. So for example, how do you have a shared document where people can easily see what the plans are, what the goals are? How can it
mhm,
be something that's visible, easily accessible, so that
mhm,
anyone in the team can know what is going on in the team, and maybe they can be of help to other members. Like what Christina said earlier, right? If we don't know what the other people are doing, we may have different perspectives or different expectations. So having that shared planning document, it can be as simple as an Excel sheet or a Google sheet. It can really help create that shared perspective. Another
mhm,
thing that I see, it's very common here in the Philippines because we're chronically online people. I see that even at work, people have different platforms they use for communication. They have
mhm,
Messenger on Facebook, they'll use Viber, then WhatsApp, then sometimes they even they use WhatsApp, Telegram, everything else they do. But if all of these platforms are happening at the same time, where do you go for your source of truth, right? Like, what is the platform you use for shared information? So I think something as simple as that, agreeing on where you will talk to each other, that's setting structure for how the team will operate. And then when
mhm,
I say rhythm, you need to know how to use these structures in the flow of everyday work. So, for example, what is the norm that we will set for when we check our communication platforms so that we can all be updated regularly? Every
mhm,
when do we have our team meetings? Is it a Monday morning update meeting or a Friday afternoon recap of the week? Like what kind, every when do you have different kinds of meetings? Also, something to think about is in music, when we say rhythm, we have
mhm,
pauses, right? Like we have breath marks and rest marks and whatnot. So I think it's very important to have that for teams as well. Some teams, you think that if you have every Friday dinner out or night out with the team, you already think that's breaking down silos. But having all of these events might be wearing people down instead of building them up. So having rest, leaving that breathing time will be more sustainable and healthier for your teams, like what Gilad shared earlier. So, looking at these two things, like structure and rhythm, I think that can help you build more sustainable practices for collaboration and breaking down silos.
Thank you for sharing that. And for sure, Christina can relate so much to that because she's
Yes, I was
her.
agreeing, nodding all the time when Alicia was speaking. But yeah, totally agree with Alicia because I was gonna say the same thing, right? Like you need to put in place a structure or an agreement across the team that okay, we will be using this particular tool because
Mhm,
systems are meant to provide transparency to everyone in the team. Like for example, if you're putting in data, if you want to have a single source of truth, which is what Alicia also said, if you want to have a single source of truth, this is where we will look for those data, right? And the beauty of having like online systems, like collaboration tools or systems that are in the cloud, for example, which is also what Alicia said, like Google Sheet, Google Slides. Microsoft has an online version too. So imagine before when we were younger, we used to do everything offline, right? Like I will do
mhm,
my PowerPoint first before I submit it to my boss. And then my boss will check, put in all his comments and give it back to me for me to revise. But now with the current technology of doing real-time collaboration, the boss can work or so not just the boss, but other team members can work together with you while you're working on some other slides. And that's the very beauty of collaboration, right? Like even though if you're like miles apart or some companies they have workforce from different countries, different time zones, it's very easy to collaborate with the systems that are available for us today. And I would highly suggest like having one tool that provides you all the information. Even though you have other systems for different purposes, at least
mhm,
have one tool for communication, for project management, for seeing where things are at already. And
mhm,
like for example, putting there the status of every project because that's very important. Like if someone goes on leave all of a sudden,
mhm.
right? Like we cannot stop the business unfortunately. So we really have to pick things up and be able to continue. So that's what the tools can do for everyone in the teams because everything's there. Like you can really put everything anytime and others will see it real time as well.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of leveraging on technology. But again, like what you both said, right? It's really so much understanding like so which one are we gonna use? Which one are we gonna agree to like use in this particular project, right? And it's good that there are a lot of collaboration tools uh to also use, and at the same time this makes it not only more efficient but it also like provides uh, like what Gilad said, zen within the organization, right? Because at least you can take a break because you know that even without you everything will be working, right? You don't really have they don't have to call you, and that's the challenge in the previous days, when like everything is manually done and you don't even have the opportunity to access the same information or to have that transparency within the team, right? So those are some of the beauty of having technology nowadays as well. So I also would like to, before my next question, I'd like to read through Damini's message. So totally agree, sharing an overview or a background really helps to make the connection more clear and easier. Yes. So at least we have audience that are agreeing to us as well. So thank you for engaging with us, the mini. And if there's anyone else who'd like to share your comments, suggestions, or questions. Feel free to join us. And so I'd like to ask the next question to Gilad, and probably this is the last question, I would say. So, how can leaders maintain collaboration when teams are remote, hybrid, or geographically dispersed, like us here, right?
Yes, I think it's some kind of combination with what the music that Elijah was speaking and the technology element that Christina was talking about. But I'd like to spotlight an important element in that, because
Mm-hmm.
when today when we are talking about teams that are dispersed, it's not only that the manager has the task of managing people who are not physically sitting within the same building, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But they might be sitting in different countries, okay? And sitting in different countries, apart from the obvious of time, okay, where for,
Difference.
for you it's afternoon, for me it's before noon, but apart from that, there's also the cultural characteristics, right,
Mm-hmm.
that you have to account for. That you might have a team, some of the team is located in the Philippines and some are in Los Angeles, right? So apart from the timing, they have different cultural perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important for the management to understand, for the team manager to understand and to know and to be aware of their characteristics. And I'll give a short, let's say, example, right? When we're talking about, let's say, German characteristics, they are very passionate. They need to know exactly all the details. When you come to a German company, you need to be very specific. How is it going to operate, right? What are the small details? When you're going to an American company, usually the CEO will make a decision, right? He needs to know, he needs to trust you, and he will let you take care of the details. Okay, so if I have two team leaders, one is located in Germany and one is located in Los Angeles, right? So one might wish, the German guy might wish to get from me very specific instructions. We want you to do this, A, B, C, D. And the American guy, if we'll tell him, we want you to do A, B, C, D, he'll get, no, leave me alone, let me do my job. I don't need you to detail everything. And the manager has to be aware of that. If we're talking about Japanese, the Japanese will want everyone to sit in the same room and discuss it and get to a unanimous decision how we're going to progress. And you might have all these different people in the same team.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be aware that they have cultural background that influences how they speak within the team, how they operate. And today the managers has a more complicated role of understanding even that before they speak to the people. So there is an issue here of fiddling all these elements together in order for the orchestra to play the right song, like Elijah said.
Thank you. And I love that. It's really like focusing not only on the system structures, processes, but also on the people, right? Having the knowledge that, it's not just the location, time difference, but also the cultural difference of the team, because it really matters on how, like, the perspective of each other as well. Like, imagine, like, if the three of us are Filipinos, right? and yet, like, we have like different perspectives and experiences that we have, so sometimes it could be also different even though we have the same culture or nationality, right? So imagine if the team are actually not only in different location but having different cultures, right? So it's really about also, I guess, setting the expectations and the goals, and like, it has to be both way, right? Not only the boss but also the team to express themselves. And again, that's where, like, psychological safety uh, makes it very important to be present within the organization to ensure collaboration. So I really love this conversation. But I think we're off time. So I would like to ask you to generally like give, if in one sentence and you have a magic wand and can use it, what will you do with it? Particularly, I would say in the topic that we are today around, breaking silos and creating more synergies within organization. Who would like to start? And the
I can
silent.
go first, maybe. Yes. So,
Go ahead.
in one sentence, I would probably use my magic wand for like wishing that people would have the same mindset, like the unity towards the same goal. Because like this is not one sentence anymore, but it's very common up to now that there's competition across the team, right?
Mhm.
So I will use my magic wand for people to have the same mindset and work towards the same.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for that magic one. And I guess as operations uh, director, right? That's always like the challenge. It's really like
Yeah,
having to ensure that everyone is operating and working together.
mhm,
So
correct.
I hope that you have that magic one. But I guess with the work that you do, you already have that, or you have been doing that.
Yes, thank you so much, Anne.
You're welcome. Who wants to go next?
I would maybe you use
Yeah.
that as you said now, Christina, to get people for better communication, right? We talk about collaborating, right? It's collaborate for success.
Wow.
It's the way I believe. It's my book. It's the way I believe the communication between the teams, between the people, between management and employees, and vice versa, to open the door for communication,
Mhm.
is the way to set proper collaborations both between companies but also within the company, between the teams, and get them to openly communicate both
Mhm.
their futuristic and hopefully thoughts and goals, and also obstacles, and share with their peers.
Yes. And a lot of times everything or synergy and collaboration only needs communication. That's
Communication.
where the problem arises, right? When
Mhm.
there's no communication between organizations or between teams. So I really love your magic wand, Gilad, and I believe like with the work that you do, that's also how it is, right? And Damini said that truly said, Gilad, adaptability isn't optional in some cases. Instead, it's what makes you stand out. Thank you. And your magic wand, Elijah.
Yeah, this will be more than one sentence, but something Gilad said earlier made me think. So Gilad mentioned playing like an orchestra, right? When you're in a team. So definitely there are times when you're on the same page, you have the same plan, like the same score that you're playing from. But there
Mhm.
are also times when there's no plan yet. There's no score that you're all reading. So I've also heard that teams that are in synergy, you also have to be a jazz band where everyone's listening to each other. They do ad libs. They make up improvised pieces that work together somehow, right? So I also like to think of teams in that way. And if I had a magic wand, I would give everyone the skill to listen to others with a lot of empathy and with the desire to build connection. Just knowing that people are saying their feelings, they're sharing their emotions with positive intent. So you also have to listen to that and find a way to use that conversation to build connection across the team.
Wow, I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for your magic wands. And I'm sure even without the real magic wand, I would say that, the work that you have been doing, the three of you, are already like amplifying what you wish for. So thank you so much for that. And before we end, I just want to recognize Michael. Hi, Marilyn. And is there a qualifiable rubric or metrics that assess productivity accurately and inclusive workplace? Ooh, is there anyone who can answer this question? Let me flash that back. Quantifiable rubric or metrics that assess productivity accurately and inclusive workplaces. Do you have any tools in mind that does this?
Mm. I can go
So,
ahead and share a quick one. So
mhm.
oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
No, no, no. Go ahead.
I have a
I'll
quick
follow
one. So,
up.
what I use. Oh, sure. Yeah. So something that I like to share with clients is, when you measure productivity, it's usually different from one organization to the other. So usually you have to look at like what makes sense for your organization. So for example, for some of my clients that are more like customer facing, productivity for them is their customer satisfaction scores, or maybe for some in the BPO industry, it's number of calls, etc. So it has to come from your organization to know what productivity means. And then
Mhm,
when it comes to knowing like the team dynamics and how the team works together, you can use assessments like the psychological safety scale. And I
mhm,
believe that is available online. A very short survey. It's by Amy Edmondson. So if you look that up online, you can see the 7 items of the survey that they use to measure psych safety. So what you can do is to look at correlations of like if psych safety is present and high in the organization, how does that correlate with the productivity measures that you've set? Of course, it's not a causation, it's just how the two variables are related with each other. But it can kind of give you an idea of something you can quantifiably assess. So maybe that's a quick thing that you can do from my end.
mhm,
And something to add around in terms of evaluating productivity accurately. Well, there's no single metric that captures productivity because as what Elijah said, it depends on like the goal that you're trying to accomplish as a team, right? But perhaps the KPIs would help in terms of understanding whether we are really reaching the
mhm,
goal that we wanted per person or per individual, I mean per team and as a company. And apart from that, of course, completion rates of the project. Let's say, for example, we do this in the company where I work for right now. So,
mhm,
like, we have several projects that we do, and we put in or we log the number of hours that we work for that certain project, and from there we will be able to measure like on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis, like, okay, we're doing so much for this project but it's not really giving us a lot of revenue,
mhm,
right? Or let's say, for example, we're working so much for this but it's not really like helping us in terms of going into that goal that we really aim for initially. So that's one thing that could help in terms of measuring productivity, like learning where you put your energy or where your team puts all their energy to be able to understand whether it's productive or maybe you can reallocate some resources or time into other projects.
Thank you. Thank you for adding that. And again, like there are a lot of different metrics or like tools that you can use to measure your productivity. But again, like what Christina and Elijah said, it depends on your operations, your goals, your KPIs, and there are several tools that we can use of. I don't have it in mind, but I have seen like one or two that actually like helps in not only measuring productivity but also like helping you to assess whether will this project or will this thing be profitable for you and how do we adjust and all those stuff. I have seen that tool from Australia, my friend in
Oh,
Australia. I think his name is Joe. So I couldn't remember the name, but I'll search for it and message you.
if they're curious about the tool, Marilyn, so we use Clockify.
Ah,
So we don't use it for monitoring everyone's time, micromanaging, and all of that. We don't do that. But like we use it to log all our hours, billable hours, for example, to be able to track whether it's productive or if are we using our time well.
mhm,
So yeah, we use Clockify, and there are other several tools that does the same thing. Mhm.
true. How about you, Gilad? Do you want to share any specific tools?
Not specific tools because it varies. Like now, Christina said, you might take a tool and use it differently
Mhm.
to get different
Yeah,
results. So usually, it's important to understand what you want to get out of the tool before
exactly.
choosing the tools, because most of the tools give you much more that you really need or use. So you need, like anything, to set the goals. What am I looking to measure, and why am I measuring it? Like
Hmm.
Christina said, I'm measuring the time, but I want to see the productivity, not just what is going on, not to track the employees. So you
Hmm.
need to understand what you're looking for, what you want to achieve by the measurements, and then see which platform gives you the best results, because there are so many tools
Available now.
to use, yes, and many of them do more of the same in different ways. So you need to understand what you want to get out of
Achieve.
the measurements before you choose the tools.
Exactly. Thank you so much for that. And I guess that's it for our conversation. I really appreciate the Mini and Michael for joining us live. And if you will be joining us on a replay, feel free to tag if you have any specific questions to anyone from our panelists. And it has been a fruitful conversation, and we'd like to again invite everyone to join us in our upcoming The Interconnected Summit. And this is the reason why we're doing this pre-event, by the way, and to also announce that we're actually rescheduling it sometime in February next year to accommodate more like sponsors and attendees who have shared their interest and that they wanted to attend this but has not been budgeted. So like this is your chance now. Join us if you are enjoying this session and the rest of the pre-event. Imagine how much more can you gain in the actual event, right? So thank you so much, Elijah, Christina, and Gilad, for taking time to have this conversation, and thank you to all our audience, whether you're watching live or on a replay. And we look forward to adding value to you or working with you in one way or another. So thank you so much and have a happy Thursday. Bye for now.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you,
Bye. Thank you
everyone.
very much.